Alright, hello guys. So I know about Damage 2.0 thanks to Mr. Tactical Potato here, and I just wanted to throw my input on it and talk about it. In my opinion, what they should do is they should actually keep slash where it is. In my opinion, because you're probably gonna think like, what the heck, like why? Because D wants to change it. But if D is ever actually willing to listen and ever, thinking about actually maybe taking this in consideration, that would be pretty cool. But here we go. My opinion and thought processes is that they should keep slash where it is and change puncture and impact only. Why? Is because I have an idea that, for example, if impact could be changed into a much more skill orientated version of damage. Reasoning for it is because it would be so much more cooler if it worked off the basis of you send an opponent flying in whatever direction, right? Like, as long as you proc impact, it means that your opponent's vulnerable and you launch them through the air, ragdolling them, right? But the secondary effect on impact is that when you hit them with a wall, for example, if a Grineer heavy gunner was near a wall, wasn't near a wall, but let's say they were lined up to a wall and you have like a very hard hitting impact weapon, and it procs impact, procs it onto that heavy gunner, sends them flying through the wall, into the wall, hits them, right? You hear this, of that heavy gunner. And what it would be really cool for it to do is if it caused it to deal maximum HP damage. The idea is that, oh, since it's on heavier, maybe, less, like on heavier, slower firing impact like weapons, like, for example, if it was on something more bigger, like sniper rifles that maybe have like a harder hitting type of thing, and it causes opponents to slam into walls. And the concept and even the lore it could even fit into it is that you're basically launching an opponent into a wall, right? So it causes their organs to, suddenly violently stop, and you're crushing their spine and everything, just messing them up internally. So that's why I could do true damage or like finisher damage, whatever you want to call it. And you can make another variation where instead of ragdolling them completely every round, but for example, if you make them hit the floor or you drag them across the floor, like for example, the dragging across the floor could maybe make them deal, let's just say, a zero point 0.5 of their maximum HP, whereas in a slam to the ground, maybe it's only 5% of their maximum HP. Because hammers tentatively have those effects, and maybe you could actually mix it with more blast so you can send them even further and even faster. Maybe they could code it in a way where if an opponent is sent fast enough, they could just straight up receive obscene amounts of maximum HP damage, where if you had procced blast and impact or something together simultaneously, and you send them so fast and a certain velocity into a wall that they just basically receive, like, let's say 50% or something. But that's just a thrown number out there. These numbers are just, of course, me just stating it, right? So that would be a pretty cool idea. And no, don't get me wrong, like I'm pretty sure I would have to have, I'm pretty sure D would probably try to balance it as much as it can, but I think that was what impact should be. It should be about that. But on lore impacting weapons, like for example, if weapons that have less impact or more faster shooting ones, they should seriously just let them be CC'd, I guess. Because there's no real other way of doing it other than that. I guess dragging them across the ground could be pretty cool, and it kind of would work if it did maximum HP damage, but I'd still question it. Uh, where and But that's primarily my final idea on it. Whereas an puncture, what I think they should do is make it for any puncture based weapon to deal more damage on, well, not per shot after, but it basically applies a damage effect accordingly to how much actual puncture damage it's totally to that opponent. So, for example, if you shoot an opponent, you activate puncture, you deal, you get a certain percentage off of how much puncture damage it is. So let's say if it's a sniper rifle that has maybe 85%, right? So maybe that threshold where it's 85%, it maybe ranges around like, oh, it's on the higher ends, so maybe you do 60% more, right? Whereas in let's change it into, well, it's a sniper rifle, so let's make it so if it procs impact, it does 60% more damage, right? Or 50%, whatever. I'm tossing numbers out. I'm pretty sure there'd be way more better scaling ways to do it. But that would be pretty cool if that was how it would work. So it would work on more methodical, slow. Sorry, I just want to check this. Slow, maybe like accurate shots, and maybe making weak points is what Mr. Tactical Potato was talking about here. I don't mean to copyright any of his things. I was just thinking like, maybe if they actually are listening out to the community, and and I totally get that Tactical Potato is not a developer, but out of curiosity, like if they were ever to hear this, maybe this would give them ideas. Because I know they have a tendency to listen to the community, but maybe they will take this in. But yeah, that would be really lovely of an idea that they could do. And I would kind of respect it more, because I think that slash should be like how it should work is that impact, puncture should be kind of that thing where it's like you should only fire once or twice, you know what I mean, and kill an opponent faster. So for example, I think it's like the Paris Prime bow, I feel like it should have been one of those bows that should always basically inflict puncture, do a ass load more damage, and it would make more sense for it to be slower firing, so you actually have a high charge time, but it makes it so you can hit an opponent and you just destroy them in one shot. Whereas in let's say slash, it's more about equaling your DPS. So for example, if you had a machine gun that could slash proc a lot, it would almost equal out its own damage by using slash. So you had slash procs with also grids. For example, the Soma Prime, you have this like endlessly firing high amounts of DPS. You get this crit alongside this slash, so you just have tons of numbers flying. And I feel like honestly, impact should be a skill orientated, like a skill based, more thing when it comes down to their heavier weapons. Like I would love it if sniper rifles, because seriously, like you shoot a heavy gunner in the face, causes them to ragdoll. And let's say it procs it, causes them to fly, hits a wall, they receive 15 or 25, I don't know what number it would be, and that would be really lovely, because in my opinion, it would be so much more better to have it much more skill orientated. And I know people would say, well, wouldn't that be OP? It wouldn't be, in my opinion, because it's specifically aiming for heavy gunners, and I get it, maximum HP, but whereas there are just straight up enemies with basically high amounts of HP pool versus high amounts of armor or like stuff like that, and they could balance it out, making it like, oh, maybe it's just purely HP, maximum HP damage without the finisher, so heavy gunners. Or maybe they make it low amounts of maximum HP damage, so let's say 10%, but making it more orientated so it's true or finisher damage, so it constantly doesn't get affected by the armor. So like heavy gunners receive more damage because of it, whereas in the general populace of Grenier, just don't really receive that crazy much amount. Like it makes it stronger against more tankier guys. And I think that would be a really awesome fix. Whereas and then you're probably going to ask, where should we put puncture damage on? So here's my thing. I think puncture damage should be moved. The puncture now effect where it reduces damage. I think it should honestly be placed somewhere in between either corrosive or magnetic procs, between those two, because honestly they're kind of like, magnetic is so specifically for one group, reasoning why I'm saying corrosion is technically also for one group is because primarily Grineer really died to it. Like really are super affected against it because if you strip their armor, you know, but even then you have corrosive projection. So honestly, to put that damage reducing effect, I mean, the reasoning why I think it should be on corrosive projection is the idea is you melt the opponent's armor, some of that armor that's been melted jams into the gun, so now the gun fires weird rounds, so some of the rounds get gunked up. They don't, maybe they fire, but they're slowed down by this crap that's stuck on the guns. And I think that's what they should do for if they want to keep a status effect where it reduces damage. If they ever think about doing that. Because it would make more sense of why you would want to keep a proc of it. Like further, and a lot of people will say like, well, wouldn't that mean that would be kind of broken because it's permanent? That's kind of the point. Maybe they keep it as, oh, as long as you have proc that only effect, because, you know what I mean? That's really the only thing I can think of. But yeah, that's what I can think of. Like for magnetic, to make it more viable, I guess, on every single other group. That's really what I believe. And for the final thing of Gara's shield wall change, I can see why it was OP, but I wish they kind of changed it so the range was more affected by it, rather than like, I don't know. Yeah, like honestly, I wish that they changed it was like the range of it or something. Because the shield was pretty damn sometimes either really amazing or really stupid. Like it's better in actual missions than the actual planes, which made no sense because the planes were so fucking weird. Where if you were defending something, opponents could just straight up shoot over it or under it because of how height and stuff is like, and how they made it so it's basically a piece of crap, and they can just shatter right through it. I honestly have to say I wish it was stronger, but like I wish it was stronger than now it is, but I don't know how I would change it other than like I would kind of hope it could increase its range, honestly. Like seriously, I really wish that it could just increase the range, and like maybe like change the range. You know what I mean? Like what I'm saying is, instead of nerfing how tanky it can be, it just increases the actual like. Sorry, I'm rambling on. The range is reduced drastically versus how much it can take. That would be lovely, because then it would kind of contest that role for Frost, because really there's no other frame that really can do it. Like there may be a few, but outside of that, honestly, it's just primarily Frost. So yeah, in my opinion, that's how I would change things. I do fear Korra's like once she's out, but yeah, I hope D hears this. If Tactical Potato, you can hear this, you know, love you, man. But I don't know. If anybody else sees this video, please, you know, hopefully share this with D somehow. Because, I mean, I would love it if they did make it like that. Outside of that, you know, hopefully everybody has a good day. Alright. Well, take care.